All right, moving on to our next Patreon request, and this one comes from Hunter Johnson, who asked me to do a crossover between Gravity Falls and not Universal Studios Mummy, Hammer's Mummy. So this is not going to be Emotep, this is Kares. So, um, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the second tier. That'll allow you to send me requests on YouTube. Jesus, I blanked there. Anyway, let's get started with the story. So the story, like I said, this takes place with Hammer's mummy. So again, I have to stress that. Anyway, the story begins with we're back in Gravity Falls. Again, I like to do the show as like a continuation of the series. So essentially what it is that Gravity Falls has been visited by a traveling exhibit, like a traveling Egyptian exhibit. And Stan's kind of upset about it because, like, it's something he should have thought of. Like, he's just mad that you know, someone else came up with the gimmick of, like, stolen relics and putting them on display. That would have made me so much money. Like, he's genuinely upset at the idea of that. However, the traveling exhibit, everyone's interested. Like, it's kind of a slow day, and already Dipper makes this point of like saying, who knows if maybe the mummy will come to life and try to kill us. Who knows? I don't know. Like it's a slow day. Let's just give it a shot. Anyway, so they all go, and it's the exhibition in that it is that of the Princess Ananka, who was a priestess who had passed due to illness, and her loyal servant Kares was buried with her after basically committing an act of sacrilege, and was placed as her guardian. It was said that during the 1800s there was a series of murders perpetrated by a cult of a god called Karnak. And Ford is like listening to this. He's like, "There's no god named Karnak in Egyptian mythology. Like, did this cult like base themselves off of Khonshu, and then it just devolved as the years went on to becoming Karnak?" And he's like, you can't just make a god out of belief. Like, you can't just believe a god into existence. And Zeus goes, "Oh, dude, have I got to teach you about Warhammer?" So as they're all looking over the exhibit and stuff, Wendy goes over to the sarcophagus of Ananka, and she's just like very, like almost like in a trance-like state, and she's just looking over it, and she's like, man, like I feel like some kind of connection to it. And she goes over to Kares's sarcophagus and like almost feels like upset, like she's feeling like a sense of like sadness around her, and she's just like, okay, I don't know why I'm being weird about all this. I need to like sit down and like just process this for 1 minute. Dipper's also like looking around. He's just kind of like also kind of feeling this. He isn't feeling like the same kind of strong emotions that Wendy has, but what he is sensing, however, is like this sense of like familiarity. He's like talking to Mabel. He's like, I just kind of feel like this all feels familiar to me. And she goes, we've encountered monsters before. Like, this is not new to us. So if you're feeling something familiar, it's probably because we fought monsters, and you're just expecting this thing to come to life and try to murder us. And he's like, yeah, probably, but what's wrong with Wendy? So he goes over, and she's just trying to like keep herself together. She's like, I just feels like this place all feels familiar to me. And he's like, yeah, me too. Like, what do you think's going on? And that's when someone comes up to them, and he goes, I believe I can help you with this. What you're probably feeling is a sense of familiarity. And they're like, so are you in charge of this? And he's like, yeah, I'm the curator of this this traveling exhibit. We've been displaying it through several towns and cities. And Dipper's like, let me stop you right there, pal. You chose Gravity Falls for a reason. It's not a big town. but you probably know what's going. We've done this dance before with like a lot of other people, so you can just say you brought it here for a reason, and the curator's like, okay. You mentioned something. You two having mentioned a thing of familiarity, and he's like, yeah. He's like, come with me. So Wendy and Dipper go with him. And he like brings him to this room, and he's like, I have been a keeper of Kares and Ananka ever since during the 1800s, when the mummy Kares was used by the cult of Karnak to commit murders after the tomb was found. And I've always believed that the reincarnations have always the cycle of reincarnations have always have kept going. It was believed, Kares fell into a bog and was sunk deep within there, but his body was found and put back in the sarcophagus shortly thereafter. So I have been I bought all this, and I've been very excited about all the details. And I've always wanted to see past lives, and I think you, Miss Corduroy, are the next cycle of Kares's love, Ananka. And she's like, wait, are you saying like this is reincarnation and I'm the latest cycle of that? And he's like, yeah, the last time Ananka had a reincarnation was when Kares was resurrected. And he's like, and Dipper's like, okay, so that explains her. How does that explain, me? And he's like, well, I did a lot of digging. The curator's like, I did a lot of digging, and I basically discovered that little bits and pieces, that essentially Ananka was in love with Kares, but there was a servant who also had a lot of love for Ananka. There was another who wanted her heart, but she was in love with Kares. It was one of Kares's priests. And Mabel overhears this and goes, ha ha ha! She's like laughing. I was like, even a past life, you were a simp. And he's like, shut up. So Dipper's like, okay, so what are you going to do now? He's like, no, I just thought it'd be kind of cool. I've been looking for the past lives of Ananka in order to be like, hey, found your stuff. Yeah, it's all cool. I do want to get your story. And Wendy's like, my story is I just found out all about all this, and now I'm the past, I'm the reincarnation of an Egyptian princess. Cool. I need to go process this. So Wendy goes home. She's taking in all these whole past life thing. That night, the curator is just kind of like all excited because he's found Ananka again. And that's when someone goes, yeah, I'm glad you found her too for us. And that's when he turns around and someone has resurrected Kares, kills the curator, and Kares wanders off with this person. Yeah, the cult of Karnak have been following him and also in search of Ananka's past life. So they've awakened Kares to find her, and also see if they can use Kares to control, use her to better control Kares. And if they can't, they'll just kill her and wait till the next reincarnation cycle. However, they're also scared of Dipper, on the grounds of there was a lot more to that story of he's not just the reincarnation of one of Kares's priests. He's a lot more to that. So it's vital they kill him first. And sure enough, Kares comes bursting through the mystery shack, and Dipper's just like, I am not even shocked. And immediately, as it bursts through the wall, Dipper just pulls out this shotgun. He's like, did you really think I wasn't prepared? And just blows a hole through Kares, Peter Cushing style. And then as Kares is picking himself back up, he hears another voice and just hears, shh, broke into the wrong goddamn rec room, didn't you mummified bastard? And it's Stan holding another gun, and he just fires another shot at Kares. Kares whirls around, hits him, tries to go at Dipper. Mabel jumps in with the grappling hook, pulls gets it around his legs and like gets Kares to trip. He rips the cord, grabs Mabel, and starts choking her. And that's when Dipper's like, stop. You just stop, okay? Whatever it is you want, you obviously came to kill me because I'm the reincarnation of the other love of Ananka. So let my sister go. I'll go with you because I know how this is going to play out. Kares frees her, and he willingly goes to the members of the Cult of Karnak. And the Cult of Karnak basically explains, like, yeah, you were a priest in a past life, but you are also the one who revealed Kares's plans to the Pharaoh. You revealed his plans to the Pharaoh of resurrecting Ananka. And not only that, you weren't just like, in your past self wasn't just in love with Ananka. You guys were actually the real couple. Like, you guys were the actual couple, and Kares was, and he's like, so I'm not the simp. Cool. The cult is like, how are you not like terrified? He's like, dude, I have encountered way worse than this mummy. Okay. So they've already captured Wendy and are like, we are going to kill you both. But the difference is we're going to put a spell on Dipper to make sure on you, Mr. Pines, in order to keep you from resurrecting again. Because every single time you stop us, you've defeated the Cult of Karnak every time in a past life. And he's like, how? And he goes, you were already like the last past life. You stopped us. You stopped the cult. You stopped us from killing the non-believers and the unholy, and caused Kares to turn against us and sink to that bog. It took us forever to get him out. And he goes, "Oh, I was that person's husband in that life." In other words, in the previous life he had, Dipper was Peter Cushing's character, Jonathan. Yeah. So that's why he was so quick to grab that fucking shotgun and blow a hole through him. But however, Wendy makes a plea to Kares directly, and she's like, "Kares, please, if you have any love for me, I'm sorry. I may be, Ananka in spirit, but I am not her. If you have any love for me, you will stop this as you did before. I don't believe, I believe you sacrificed yourself to protect me in that past life, and you did that all out of love. Please, if you have any love for me, don't do this." And Kares just looks at her and then looks at the cult, and they're immediately like, "Oh no!" So Kares just goes on a fucking rampage and murders the Cult of Karnak left and right. So kills all of them, and then looks over at Dipper and Wendy and is just like nods to them, and slowly, because there's no magic left to like hold him together because the cult's gone, he like starts to fall apart and dies. Then we find there's a little bit more to the story, because Ford's also been looking in after the next day, and he's like, "Man, you handled that pretty well, Dipper." And he's like, "Yeah, like I said, this is nothing new." So as it turns out, Kares, there was like that whole spiel about being another love to Ananka. That was not a thing. That was just conjecture. That was just all like made up. There was a priest that did ruin the ruin the resurrection spell for Kares and Ananka, but that wasn't him. That was just like a story that was passed down and altered. Like all stories, there's only a little bit of truth, and it always gets altered every so often. So it turns out Dipper is actually the reincarnation of Kares, who's been and you even think, well, Kares the mummy is still alive, yes, but not his soul. That mummy is the empty husk of Kares. His soul has still been reincarnating every time. Like, again, Jonathan was the last true incarnation of Kares. So Dipper's like, "So I was Kares the whole time?" And he goes, "Yeah. They just made it like there was just some misinformation, because not everyone can read hieroglyphics and they got that interpretation wrong. And he goes, that just sounds like a comic book retcon. And he's like, and they're like, yeah, it kind of does. Anyway, so the story ends with Dipper and Wendy like, so we're the past lives of Ananka and Kares. You wanna? And she goes, go on a date and not talk about this? And he goes, oh yeah. So there you go. That's the end of the story. I want to thank Hunter Johnson for sending me this for this Patreon request, as well as continued patronage. And like I said before, if you would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link in the description box below. Head on over to my Patreon. Hit the second tier. That'll allow you access to do so.